Oh yeah, never on CPT time. It's the Life Gain Avengers of current culture. It's me. It's that homie T Streams who always put me to shame with that pretty ass camera, and the folks Larry who always put me to shame with them good curls he got in his head. What's up, fellas?
What's that, my man? What's up, everybody?
We good, man. How you fellas
What's
doing
going on,
today?
man?
Man, it's going good, man. Been a busy day, but I had a few time to check out some current events and stuff, and just
Okay.
sort of peeking my head in and out here and there.
Well, today is not going to be as current eventsy as you think. It's probably going to be like 2 current events we're going to cover. I'm going to do a quick review of what happened on The Resident, episode 1 of season 4. Larry, did you see it?
No, I did, man. I did.
It's all good. It's all good. And Larry, we're going to have Larry give his hot take on what's the thing, Bridgerton, Larry? That what it's called?
Yeah, Bridgerton.
Yeah. Oh boy, y'all might want to go get you some popcorn for that, because I seen his Facebook post.
Yeah,
and boy, he want all the smoke. He want more smoke than what Tommy wants. Larry want all that smoke, and he might get it. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we got a trailer review for One Night in Miami, done by Regina King, ladies. And y'all know that's one of my. She's on my hot list now, and I love me some Regina King.
Yeah,
Don't y'all mess with her either. I love some Regina King. I've been rocking with her since 227. That's my girl. But
I have nothing bad to say about her.
It ain't nothing bad to say about Regina King. It ain't nothing bad to say about her. Then we're going to end on a little bit of politics, and we're going to end on the stock market. So let me dive on into it first, fellas. I know y'all haven't seen The Resident. But season 4, episode 1 dropped of The Resident. This show right here, it came on last night. Really, really good show. And to sum up everything that happened in this show, they basically just did a synopsis and went back to what it was like dealing with COVID over the last year. Only thing is they did it in time period. So the guy the 2 people in the front, you see Matt Krasinski, and you see Emily Van Camp. Those are 2 main characters. She's a nurse, he's a doctor, he's the resident. And they were supposed to get married, and they had their engagement last year, and they carried over to this season. Okay. Now, we're under COVID restrictions. And the thing that this episode did, fellas, they played it up to the hilt. They want to make sure people understood how dangerous COVID is. They want to make sure people understand the bull job that the people in the hospital had to go through. So how did they portray that into a good story? It opens up with the first person comes to the hospital. Now, mind you, this hospital is in Atlanta. The first person gets into the hospital. They have no idea what's wrong with this person, but they know the symptoms of COVID. And so they rush to this person's room to try to save their life. And they tie a good story around that nurse in the middle between Malcolm Jamal Warner and the chick from the Black Panther. They tie it around her. So she rushes in there, does CPR, and they get called out, and they find out that what this guy has is coronavirus, and she winds up getting sick. Now, yeah, of course, y'all know that Black nurse is the backbone of this story. This show does, and when I say a damn good job of diversity, they do a damn good job of diversity. And so we've got that looming in the background. But fellas and ladies and gentlemen watching this show, the other thing that we don't get to see that goes on in hospitals that is frustrating the hell out of people is you still have your executives upset that they're losing money because the elective services can't get done. And that's when we bring in Morris Chestnut, who plays the most cocky, top neurosurgeon in the world. And the guy standing beside him is the chair of Red Rock, which is the parent company that took over this hospital. So he wants Morris Chestnut to go against the grain because it's so tied. They're so tied up with people who have coronavirus. They don't have any beds for elective services, so they losing money. So he puts a little bug in Morris Chestnut's ear. He's like, look, bro, I need you to start finding a way to get elective services in here. Morris Chestnut's like, well, what you gonna do for me? I want you to forget how I almost killed everybody in this clinic last year by not making sure a device was cleaned properly and it gave everybody Canada ores. And I want you to not threaten my job anymore. So they have a contemptuous relationship. And in the end, Morris Chestnut does it. But here's the thing, fellas. There was a scene when Morris Chestnut ran up on Malcolm Jamal Warner. And Malcolm Jamal Warner's like, bruh, I know you're not about to start doing this. Now, keep in mind, Malcolm Jamal Warner on this show is the best heart surgeon in the world. And I can tell y'all, nobody has a bigger ego and a chip on their shoulder than a heart surgeon. Nobody. I don't care if you do brain surgery. These heart surgeon dudes, they think they stuff don't stink. And if you ask some of them to eat they shit, they will. So he's like, Morris Chestnut, look, bro, I don't give a damn who you are. You will not be doing elective services because you need to have an oath to your patients. Morris Chestnut basically says, get the hell out of my face. Now, fellas, I thought it was about to be a Pier 6 brawl, for real. And my money was going to be on Malcolm Jamal Warner's character all day long. Give me him. They didn't fight. And to make this very long story short of a very good episode 1, a lot of people got affected who are on this cast. So you have the guy to the right of the main character. His dad caught COVID and was a cab driver and could not stop driving his cab because he needed to make money. He got COVID and died. Damn. And he was going to be the best man at his wedding. And it never happened.
That dude, you're talking about the little dude that's just on it off to his
to his right.
I guess you said his right.
Yeah, that's Dr. Pravesh.
Driving a cab during COVID and he's a doctor?
He told his dad to get out the cab, and his dad wouldn't listen. He told his dad, he called his dad, Larry, and said, look, Dad, you the reason I got through medical school. I can pay all your bills. I need you to be home taking care of mama. And Dad was like, nah, I'm my own man. I got to do my thing. And he got COVID, got sick, got in the hospital, and eventually died and prevented him from being at his friend's wedding. And pictures of the wedding look like this. It was a beautiful wedding. And the guy who is presiding over the wedding, he's also a doctor too in the same clinic. So this is the very end. They have the wedding. It's outside. It's social distance. It's pretty. And guess what, fellas? The nurse that was really, really sick with COVID, the black nurse, where's her picture at? She winds up surviving COVID and gets to this wedding. And when I tell you they sounded like the Mississippi Mass Choir out here singing in this wedding, she led the singing. And man, I'm telling you, they sound like the Mississippi Mass Choir singing this wedding. I mean, they was out here singing, Larry, not singing, singing. And in the very end, they finally let these two kiss. Now, the reason they was able to kiss is just simply because Dr. Austin, which is Malcolm Jamal Warner's character, he kicked this other chick to the curb that he was dating. Mina tried to act like she wasn't feeling him because she's a hard, grizzled, African descent woman who don't take no mess. And any of you guys who've ever been in school with someone who comes from that part of the world, they really don't take no stuff. They don't have this Southern hospitality mess that we have. They cutthroat. But she falls for him because she too is a heart surgeon and a good one in her right. And ladies and gentlemen, it let it go off with them kissing. I was elated. It was a great kickoff. They dedicated that whole first show to the men and women in the hospital who've been getting overlooked. We don't hear about the trauma they go through. We don't hear about some of the depression that they go through. We don't hear about their punk ass CEOs who really want to keep profits over the priority of the people's health at the forefront. One of the doctors even mentioned, aren't y'all going to get money from the federal government? They brought that up. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're missing out on The Resident, I would tell you, start watching this season. Just pick up on this season. You will float right on into what's going on. Damn good start. Hell of a good start. I can't wait the next week.
Yeah. All right. It sounds like it's pretty good, man.
It's real good. And shout out to my big homie family, Dad. Hey, my brother, we appreciate you too, man. We're going to keep this thing going as much as we possibly can. And next on the agenda, get your popcorn ready. I think T.O. said it best. Larry, tell us all about Bridgerton. Give us your hot take on this show. And that's a hot thing right there. Give us your hot take.
Oh, gosh. So, so basically, this show, and I'm going to spoil it for y'all because I don't really care if you guys watch it or not. So,
hey.
That's just what it is. It is basically a show. It is basically a show about a young woman from an aristocratic family who is out on the marriage market. Every year they have a season where they have a marriage market. She's out on her first marriage market, and she ends up falling in love with an unavailable duke. This duke is a black dude that guy right there, he's a duke. He's a Duke of Hastings. He has absolutely no intentions on getting married ever. He is what they call a rake. And so she basically manipulates herself into his life and into getting married with him. And then she rapes him. And it's just, it's to me, when I saw this, they present this as it's some sort of romantic story, some romantic love story, and then she rapes the dude.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, man.
How did she rape him? Did she slip him a Mickey? Did she tie him up? How did she physically rape him?
No, so what she did was he does not want to have kids, right?
Okay.
He made a vow to his father on his father's deathbed that his line would die with him. His father pretty much treated him horribly because when he was younger, he had a stuttering problem. And so his father said he was an imbecile and an idiot. And he was so afraid that the royal family would take back their dukedom and all their stuff if their family wasn't perfect. So he said, I can't have an imbecile son. And so he sent his son away. And he was terrible to his son. His son used to write him letters and tell him, look, I'm being educated and I've gotten over my stuttering. And his father just never answered his letters and shunned him away. So when he finally became the Duke of, when his father's on his deathbed and he's about to become the new Duke of Hastings, he tells his father on his deathbed, I'm never going to have kids. Your name and our line is going to die with me. So he gets manipulated into marrying this young woman, the new Duke of Hastings. And the woman wants to have kids. He doesn't want to have kids. She doesn't understand sex and how it works. So for him, every time they would have sex, he would just pull out and move off of her. And that way he didn't get her pregnant. Well, she goes and talks to one of her friends, not a friend so much, her former lady maid or lady, whatever they would call ladies in waiting, I guess.
She had a handmaiden.
Yeah, a handmaiden. So she went and talked to her and asked her, how does this work? My mother didn't tell me anything. How does it work? And so the woman sits her down and explains everything to her. And once she realizes how it works, now she's upset. Now she's angry because she realizes what her husband has been doing, that he has been intentionally trying not to get her pregnant. And so she plots and plans to seduce him. And once she does, they're having sex, and once he gets close to where he's ready to orgasm, she grabs him and flips him over and jumps on top of him and holds him down until he comes. And he's basically in that moment, he's screaming, he's telling her stop.
Oh,
in the moment where stop, don't, and she's still doing it until he finishes, and he's traumatized. He's looking at her traumatized. What did you do? What did you do? And he's so traumatized, he reverts back to his childhood stuttering. And so, it's a horrific scene. The dude, she planned and raped him. And their relationship at that point.
Larry, it's Larry. I hate to be grotesque, but man, it sounded like the pussy was so good, it just made him start speaking in tongues. Is that what really happened here?
No, she just jumped. She flipped him and then held him down, so he couldn't get off. He couldn't get her off of him.
Wait, Larry? You mean to tell me that this is a grown man and he couldn't get this woman to our left off of him?
Not in that moment, because she was on top of him, trying to hold him down while he was in the process, while he was in the midst of orgasm. And but let's be real. Let's be real. When we talk about rape,
right?
Rape does not have to be just the physical overpowering of one person to another. There is rape through coercion. If you tell a woman, if like Mystical, for example, Mystical was convicted of rape because he caught one of his employees, a female, stealing from him and told her, if you have sex with me and all these dudes, that I won't go to the cops. And then she did it, and then she went to the cops and explained and told what happened. They said it was rape by coercion. You don't have to physically overpower someone to do something that is rape. When someone says no, when someone says stop, anything that you continue on after that is sexual assault.
Even if they
and she didn't stop. And the thing is, and this is the thing that gets me, is that in that, when you see how he was traumatized, because after that, he was so traumatized by it, he reverted back to his childhood stuttering. I mean, it wasn't like he just did this and was like, oh, damn, you got me, and just went on about his life. He was horrified by it. And the thing that's so disturbing when I brought this up is that women were just dismissing it, like, oh, she didn't rape him, and this was no big deal. This was just a romance story and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so are you telling me that if a guy was on top of you and he was about to come and you were like, no, get off me, I don't want you to come to me, I don't want to get pregnant, you're trying to push him off, and the dude just holds you down, like, I'm about to get my nut on, and comes inside of you, that you're not going to feel raped afterwards? I mean, that is lunacy. Just because it happened to a man does not make it any less rape.
Okay,
I'm with you. And the thing that it's vulgar and just really just disgusting about it is to take that and then romanticize it. That's just horrible. I mean, I understand if you show rape in on TV, in movies, and you show the ugliness of it, the brutality of it, the twisted manipulations that people deal with, the trauma they suffer afterwards. But to try and romanticize it, that is disgusting, man. That is just disgusting, and it sends a horrible message out there. And I don't think people understand truly how much messaging is in these movies and TV shows. I understand Bridgerton is make-believe, but the message is not. The message is real, and people take those messages and they take them and they move them out into the real world.
Okay, now that you've given such, this is more than a hot take. This was a blazing take. I need to ask you the thespian questions. Let me ask you the thespian questions. Now, I want you to put aside the way you feel about the rape scene. Was the rest of the movie? Did it have any redeeming qualities? Was it entertaining? Did you like the acting? Did you like the cinematography? Did you like the costumes? Give me some dialect about what else was going on in this. Is it a series or a movie?
It's a series.
In the series, okay.
Yeah.
What time period is this at? You said 1800s?
Yeah, it's like it's like the Victoria era, I think.
Yeah, sometime when they wore your drapes that you got on your windows for clothes. Yeah, it was during that era.
Yeah. So, it's entertaining. I'm not going to try and take away the fact that it's entertaining. It is. It's a Shonda Rhimes production from Shondaland. You would expect nothing more than high production values. You know, the stories flow. It's an entertaining production. But guess what else was entertaining? To watch the insurrection live at the Capitol. That's entertaining as well, but it doesn't make it good. You can be entertained by bad stuff. The gladiators that fought entertained people while they were killing each other. Entertainment does not make something good. It just makes it entertaining. They have a whole saying when they say, I couldn't take my eyes off it. It was a train wreck. That's because train wrecks are entertaining. You can't take your eyes off of it, but it doesn't make it good. It doesn't make it right.
I got another question then. So I've heard a lot of people. I haven't seen it. In all fairness, I'm just asking through the lens of Larry. However crazy those lenses might be, I'm asking anyway. Larry, people have said that this thing is kind of like soft porn. Is that another reason why you feel like it's kind of a train wreck people can't take their eyes off of, or is that grotesque too?
No, there is a fair amount of sex. It's mostly in the second half of the season because it's, it doesn't happen really until they get married. And so it's in the second half of the season where you start to see more of the sex scenes that they have. And even then, don't get me wrong, when it starts off where they're having sex and it seems like they're having very loving and passionate romantic sex, but this is after you've set aside all of the deceptions and the manipulations. I mean, you have to understand, they got married because this woman intentionally compromised her virtue with this man so that he would be forced to marry her. Because she wanted to marry him. He did not want to get married. And he knew the Duke's best friend is her older brother. So she knew already that the Duke was going to be inclined not to want to leave her out there with her virtue compromised, because then she would potentially never find a husband. And if she did find a husband, it would be some terrible individual. But not only would she not find a husband because she would be tainted, her younger sisters, for which she had two younger sisters, would likely not find husbands either, or not find good husbands. And so their fortunes for her and for the women were very much dependent upon her finding a good husband. And
is this not the story of what a lot of women have done historically?
I would imagine there's some of that. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine there's some of that, a lot of husband trapping going on, Yeah. But here's the thing, this man, and anybody who tries to make this out as being some romantic tale and not a tale of deception and manipulation, this man so much not wanted to marry this girl, he chose to take a duel with her older brother. He so much said, no, I won't marry her, that her older brother said, I have to then duel you. So that I have to challenge you to a duel so that I can reclaim my sister's honor. And so they went out into the field right at sunset, right at dawn, to have a duel. And the Duke did not want to get married, that instead of wanting to kill his best friend, because the Duke said he knew he was a good shot. If he was going to shoot, he would have killed his best friend, which he didn't want to. Instead of trying to kill his best friend, he took the gun and held it straight up. Held it straight up so that his friend could take a shot at him. And not only did this man not want to get married, he was willing to die to not get married. He was that serious about keeping his vow. And
Larry,
this woman,
wait a minute, Larry, you're going too fast, man. Slow down in that Ferrari. When you said duel, I'm thinking they pulling out swords, they pulling off gloves, slapping each other in the face. But you mean they went and did an old out west duel where they put backs against each other? I'm gonna go 10 paces, turn around, we're gonna shoot at each other.
Yeah, that's how they would do duels once guns were introduced. Like with Hamilton. If you've seen Hamilton, how they talk about doing the duels where they would, turn their backs, they'd walk 10 spaces, then they would turn around and they would shoot. And so they walked 10 paces, they turned around, and the Duke put his gun straight into the air because he was not going to fire and shoot his best friend. And his best friend decided he was going to shoot. Except the craziness is when he went to go shoot, the sister came rushing out, and actually she was out on a horse and came rushing out to the dueling field on her horse and plows her horse right in between the two of them, right as her brother shot. And in that moment they thought everyone thought that the brother accidentally shot the sister when he didn't, because apparently the brother's a terrible shot. So he shot and the bullet just went off wherever, to left or right, wherever. And she fell off her horse and they picked her up, and And then she says, "Oh, I need to talk to you. I need a word with the Duke." And the brothers, no, no, no. And so the Duke and her step off to the side to go talk. And she's saying, you know, you have to marry me. If you don't marry me now, my virtue is so destroyed that I'll never be able to get married. You know, you have to do it now. And he's saying, I can't marry you because I can never have kids. And so she says and he says, I can never marry you because I can never have kids. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to have kids. I want you to be able to be a mother. I know that's something that you've always wanted. So she decides in that moment, okay, if he can't have kids, I still love him. I'll still marry him. So she tells her brother, no need to continue the duel because the Duke and I are to be married. And so basically there's no real proposal. It's just simply she's agreeing at that point. I agree. I'll marry you if that's what it takes to not have kids, and I'll just go ahead and marry you. So they go ahead and get married, and then she gets upset because she realizes, oh, he actually can have kids. He just doesn't want to have kids because of this vow that he made to his dad. And then she decides at that point that she's going to rape him and take his seed, and that's what she does. And then she's horrified because she doesn't even get pregnant. She thinks she might be pregnant, and then they're at an opera. And when they're at the opera, she gets her period and she rushes off home crying.
Please don't tell me that's how it ended.
Pretty much. I mean, there was another episode with some BS where they then went ahead and tried to make them seem like they had this romantic reconciliation where they're dancing in the rain. And I'm like, come on, man. How many people can go up there and dance in the rain with their rapists after they've been raped? That's why I say I hate the whole romanticizing of rape. This idea that you can rape and then the man's gonna fall in love with his rapist. Oh, come on, man.
So this is the beginning of the third trip.
That's one of those things I used to hate when I don't watch old movies. I hate those old black and white movies because one of the things I would hate to see in there is the abuse that they had towards women. And anybody who's raised that had a mom that was single, that worked and went to school and everything else, you don't want to see women abused. You understand how strong women are and can be. You don't want to see them abused. But those old movies, what did we always see? When a woman would get mad or a woman would get upset, the man would say, stop, you're acting hysterical. And they would smack the shit out of them to calm them down. Stop, you're being hysterical. And they would smack the shit. I'm like, that is not okay. That is simply not okay.
It's not okay. So Larry, so that we can get on with the show. Golly. I don't think I ever want to even hear the name Bridgerton again. But Larry, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate this series, please. And I can officially tell you, I will not be watching because of your review. It didn't intrigue me. I don't need to see scandalous sex and somebody getting. That doesn't do nothing for me. So rate the show. What would you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 5, and I'm only giving it a 5 because it does have very high production values. It looks good. The costumes are beautiful in there. The scenery is beautiful. You know, there are a couple of characters in there that do have some redeeming value, a little bit, you know, but in large part, I hate the portrayals that they do of. I just hate the portrayals they do of the people, especially both the men and the women. I don't like it. It's a misrepresentation of love, and I think it's like I wrote earlier today when someone, when I put on my review, I said love is not about deception and manipulation and sexual assault. It's about sharing and caring and being there with the person that you love. It has nothing to do with sexual assault and manipulation and all that. I was like, it's about understanding the person that you're with and sharing your life with them and caring about them and for them. And the way they portray love is that it's some sort of tactical warfare,
Well, so many people have used the power of panty draws and the power of the penis to be tactical warfare. But like Larry said, that's not love. It's not love.
Yeah, but see, it's different now. I think now when you have women, and not to say that they don't manipulate still, and men don't as well, but I feel like now oftentimes when people have sex, they're using it as an expression of love. Whereas back then, if you were thought to be compromised and you were from a family that was of means and a family of stature, to be compromised would not just to disgrace you, it did disgrace your whole family, you know? And this particular woman was blessed by the queen to be the incomparable, as they call it. She was the incomparable of the season, you know? And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like the show wasn't entertaining. It was entertaining. But I mean, I'm entertained by a lot of stuff. We all are. We are entertained when you see high-speed chases on the news, you know? Everybody watches those high-speed chases on the news hoping they're going to see a car crash, you know? I mean,
well, fellas, we're going to move on beyond that point. Check out Bridgerton if you haven't. I'm not.
Or don't.
So now here's something that I think we all going to see. Produced, written by my homegirl, Regina King from 227. One Night in Miami with some of our black male heroes. Take a look at this, man. So let me tell you something. That is an array of some of the greatest up and coming black talent we got. You got your boy that does the Hamilton play, being Sam Cooke, and I wonder if Regina King is going to do Sam Cooke any justice, because for those of you who don't know how my man died. Allegedly, he tried to rape a woman at a hotel, and she got away with shooting him 3 times when all the witnesses said that's not what even happened. So I wonder how she's going to deal with that. You've got Malcolm X, and there hasn't been a movie or a TV show that Malcolm X plays in that I haven't enjoyed that portrayal of him. So watch out for The Godfather of Harlem coming back in March. He's in this. Then you got Muhammad Ali. Jim Brown being played by Aldous Hodge. They didn't even have to make this trailer that long. And I'm there. Fellas, and I give it to you first, T Streams. How do you feel about that? That looks good as hell. January 15th.
Yeah, I started catching wind of it a few days back when they started really pushing it. They really started pushing it on Amazon, Amazon Prime and stuff. And so you get to see it. And I think that I'm in for it. I think it looks and appears to be Academy worthy.
Yep.
I definitely think that I got some faith in it. I'm going to watch it. I believe it's going to be something that I'll definitely enjoy to see how they take those stories and put them together and things like that. I'm trying to think if I've seen anything by Regina King that actually movie wise, and I can't really say right off the top of my head that I have. But
The Watchmen.
But she played in that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm talking about things that she's behind as far as directing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's going to be a real interesting story, man. I'm in for it. It seems relaxing. Be able to watch it, get a little history. I'm interested in it for sure. I'm definitely going to watch it and support it.
Larry, what you think, brother?
Yeah, man, I'm in it. I'm all there day one. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
I'm like you, man. I don't think I've seen a movie with Malcolm X in it that I haven't enjoyed. So,
right, exactly. But like I said, I'm interested in their portrayal of Sam Cooke because the brother died at 33, shot by the chick that ran the hotel because she was trying to intimate that he tried to rape her. Now it's funny how this is coming out while what's going on in the nation is going on right now, and we'll get to that impeachment thing in a minute. But can you imagine if we're seeing, and it's on live TV on Front Street, the complete discord between the way black people get treated and viewed and the way white people get treated and viewed I wonder how much of that is Regina King going to focus on in this one night in Miami, because you guys got to remember, even though these brothers was good in their respective entertainment genres, these guys was Black Power.
Yeah,
No doubt.
right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
These brothers was putting up their career when they weren't even making as much money as the dudes make nowadays, who seem like they spineless minus LeBron James to stand up for the rights of the American Black people. These brothers was putting up their career to stand up for our rights. So I can't wait to see how Regina King puts that in this show, because she stands up for the rights of minorities and women as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be one of the underlying themes of the movie, seeing how they dealt with that persecution, that oppression, each of them in their own rights. And I'm eager to see how she meshes their stories, together like that. But yeah, I think that's the direction that they're probably going to go in, and it's prime time. It's prime time for a film like that. It's a little bit relaxing, but at the same time, I wouldn't expect it to be void of any top-notch action, because, like you said, though all those guys was a part of, they was a part of that. They had very strong personalities, and they had a lot of oppression against them. So I'm really eager to see how that plays out.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a really good story, and I'd be surprised if they overlook that that story or that effort for something top notch when it comes to the Academy time.
Man, we're gonna be busy as hell Friday, WandaVision Friday, and this on Friday. I might have to link up with one of y'all and do like a special Saturday review or something, man. I might have to do something with y'all, because it ain't enough time in the day to do all this stuff by myself. So I had to link up and do something. You fellas, we know how to inbox each other, so we're gonna move on. But we all in for it. We think it's gonna be good. Fellas, which one you want first? Do you want the life gains and how to make the money, or do you want the life gains and the policies that go into you making money and having your way of life?
Man,
toss a coin. It don't. We're gonna get the of it anyway.
I think we might need to go with the stocks first, man.
Oh my!
I think we might need to go with the stocks first, because this whole impeachment thing, man, we might have to go overtime on that one.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're finding me, Larry and T-Stream, for the first time, please subscribe. This is the segment where we're going to talk a little bit about stocks and help you make those life gains. I told the fellas today I made a purchase in Intel. I bought a call that expires in March, because there was some big news that dropped, and I'm going to take you guys to CNBC, which, if you're not listening, if you call yourself a stock person or you're new to this game, the best thing to help you learn is by watching CNBC every day, especially the noontime, because they give you nuggets of information. So this broke this morning, and this is what preempted me to buying Intel. And after they play this, I'll tell you some other things I've done today.
Wanted to update people on a situation we've been following closely, namely Intel. And we can tell you now, according to people familiar with the situation, that Intel CEO Bob Swan will be stepping down from that position effective February 15th. An announcement expected shortly. He will be replaced by Pat Gelsinger, the CEO of VMware, and a former, of course, Intel employee for many years, an engineer, and we would expect perhaps an appointment that will be well received by the market. I have called Intel and shared with them what I knew to be the case. They had no comment. I would anticipate, however, that you could expect, given they were planning on announcing this later today, is my understanding that they will be moving up that announcement. So we should get confirmation from Intel of this change that will be taking place again. February 15th is when Mr. Swan will be departing the company that he has run officially as its CEO since January of 19. But remember, he also was interim CEO of Intel for some 7 or 8 months after the unexpected departure due to breaking of company policy by Brian Krzanich. Mr. Swan has been under a great deal of pressure, as our viewers know, as shareholders know, of course. The company once considered, and now I'm reading from Dan Loeb's letter of a few weeks ago, the gold standard for innovative microprocessing manufacturing has lost its pole position to TSMC in Taiwan and Samsung in South Korea. That is, to a certain extent, true. Remember, they have been stuck at 14-nanometer chips since 2013. They missed a cycle. They've been trying to figure out what they're going to do in terms of their manufacturing, and Mr. Swan has come under a significant amount of pressure as a result. So perhaps not a big surprise of his coming departure. Gelsinger, as I pointed out, he led EMC's, of course, information infrastructure products business as its COO. VMware, remember, is in the process potentially being spun off, the 81% owned by Dell. So there is a transaction in the future of that company. But this gives him an opportunity to come back to a company that he once had a senior role in. He was the first chief technology officer of Intel from January of 2000 to 2005. He was also senior VP and GM of its digital enterprise group in 2009, after which he departed for Dell EMC and then, of course, VMware. So, Jim, you can see the market responding somewhat positively to this change. Again, expected to have been announced later today. My expectation now is, given we're reporting it, that they'll probably move that up and confirm it. But we can tell you that it is the case. Mr. Gelsinger will be taking over February 15th for CEO Bob Swan.
Yep. And they dropped that news early in the day before the markets open up. And the minute the markets open up, I bought a call on Intel. So those were the two biggest pieces of news. That and a new IPO came online today called Affirm, and I'll get to that in a minute. But to show you guys what I did with the Intel, because I don't want to own it, and me saying I don't want to own it is not saying that it's a bad stock. It's just me saying they don't show enough growth. And so I bought a call that's going to expire in March right here at $57.50. And I bought that call, and it took off in the beginning, then it went down a little bit. So I'm losing $105 right now. But the reason why I bought it is because the company has shown growth over these years. It's just not has been as much growth as the other competitors that he mentioned in the video. And with this new CEO coming, who is an engineer, and a lot of people have been clamoring for this guy to come back and be the CEO. And he has a vision of where he wants to go and some people he wants to get in business with. On February 15th, when they get rid of this old CEO and the new guy steps in, this stock is probably going to hit $70 at the very least. And I want to get in on some of that action, which is why you see me doing an expiration date on this call till the 19th. And I'm just going to sit back, watch the duckies grow. Now, if the stock if my
how much did it cost?
It costed, let me go back to it, for something, it cost $420 is what it cost. If I get to a point, ladies and gentlemen, the way that I control myself, and I implore you to have control measures in place. If my contract doubles, even if it doubles way ahead of the expiration date, I go ahead and take my profits. That's all I need. Now, because I'm watching every day the RSI and other indicators to see how things may move. You never know when something could happen one day and crater the whole market, and it might take a whole 2 months to recover. So if I get to double position what I put in, I pull my money and I'm satisfied. Some of y'all might be saying, well, if your expiration date is another month, then you should just wait. Yeah, whatever. No, nobody goes broke taking profits. Definitely not me. And that's what's giving me my portfolio. So if you guys are feeling a little froggy, you might want to get you a call of Intel. And the other thing that was big today was this company called Affirm. And what are they? They are an online payment processing company that basically does, they're a competitor to credit cards. And this is what frustrates me to no end. It frustrates Larry too.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the IPO price for this thing was like $49. Why is it that when it goes online at 12 o'clock, it's $90? Somebody explain to me why. Me and Larry know why, but I'm going to tell you guys why. Because that $40 is what they gave to private investors. And so the minute all the institutions and the retail people jump in here, this bitch is $90. And them people that gave the private equity got the private equity price. They already done doubled their money. And it eventually went up to 102 was the highest. Then it flattened back out at about end of the day at $97. I am not buying. I didn't buy. I need to see when this thing levels back out below this double the position price, and then I might get in later on. And so those were the big pieces of information in the stock market that went down today. I will make another recommendation for you all to take a look at. I sent this to the fellas yesterday. There is about to be another SPAC for an EV company coming out real soon, and it's down here in the bottom of my portfolio called BTAQ. Stands for Burgundy Technology. They are going to be the latest SPAC, and if you can see, I got in at $10.75. It went up to $11.30, ended today. I'm already up $55 in less than a day. Keep an eye on Burgundy Technologies. They are going to be partnering. They're supposed to have two partnerships. I'm hearing they're thinking about partnering with Canoe, and then they're going to be doing their own electric SPAC. They're going to be doing their own EV carrier. So those are some stock tips you guys can get in and make some money. And Larry, I'm going to ask you first. When you heard that Affirm, was you thinking the same thing I was thinking? Man, I ain't about to buy that today, and y'all not going to give us the price that it's you putting as the IPO.
Yeah, I've been pretty down on IPOs because that's just what happens unless it's one of those companies that does like just a full, whatever they call it. Just I forgot there's a term for it when the IPO is open for everyone right from the beginning. A direct IPO, I think, is what they call it.
Direct listing. And
I mean, other than that, it just does. I don't like it because, like you said, you look at the actual IPO price that may be $40-$50, and then by the time it goes live, it's already up to $80, $90, $100, and I mean, you should be able to get in on that and get those prices and get the true IPO price, and then you can't, and so you just get burned. It increases the likelihood that you get burned. It's already risky enough investing in an IPO, and then they want to increase that risk by not letting you get in at the actual IPO price.
Right. Is there not any regulation set in place to prevent that?
No, they want it like that because it's supposed to be a way to pay back the private equity that helped you get your business off the ground. But what a lot of companies are doing, these SPACs don't do that. They don't do that. And then you've got a lot of these private equity companies themselves becoming what they call blank check organizations. And so you can get in with them where, like, for example, the EV maker that's trying to do trucks, they got in on a SPAG. And they got in on a SPAG because they didn't have everything right to go to the market, but they wanted to get their products and services on the market so they could recruit some of that money to help them keep investing. So they just partnered with someone who had a blank check company. And I'm willing to give them money before I give companies like this money because I don't want to lose that revenue. I'm like Larry, man, you probably would get a greater volume of people buying, and you probably would push the stock up anyway. But no, this has just been the little insider secret that they do to help the folks who are private equity individuals get their money back in 1 or 2 days, just like that.
And they do allow some people to get in at the IPO price, but it's a limited number of shares that they offer. It's only certain brokerage houses, and even then, your broker is going to have certain. There's going to be certain criteria that have to be in place. Like you have to have a certain amount of money in your account. You've had to make a certain amount of trades in the last 30 or 90 days. There's a number of barriers they put in place before you can actually get in on the true IPO price, and that's assuming that your brokerage even has them to get in on. And then once you meet all the criteria, you have to actually apply to be able to invest in an IPO, and they have to approve you. And that approval only lasts for so long. It's a whole unfortunate situation.
Well, let's just call it what it is. It's crony capitalism, point blank, period. That's what it is. Because individuals like us could get in on a company like this. We could take the money we got if we really believe in someone enough, and we could do exactly what they just did. Imagine if you guys could have bought 1,000 shares of this company for $50, and then today it ended at 97. Hell, imagine you bought 100,000 shares, you'd be rich. And that's what people do. And they don't want you. They tell you that we want you to be in capitalism. It's the greatest system on the planet. Yeah, if you done figured out a way to make it crony, it's good for you then. But for everybody who's trying to bootstrap it and all that shit Republicans used to say, making you think that you wasn't working that hard, and we now know that their asses was lying, this is one of those parts that makes you frustrated. And having said that, fellas, we're going to move on to the politics. And yes, ladies and gentlemen,
the stock I wanted you to check out.
Yeah,
we can do it after.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it after. Ladies and gentlemen, we've only had 3 presidents to ever be impeached: Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and now Donald Trump. One of those presidents has 2 impeachments on his resume. One of them has 2 impeachments on his resume. And if Mitch McConnell wasn't such a spineless worm, he might get convicted. But ladies and gentlemen, let me let you guys take a look at what was going on in DC today, and then we will give you our greatest takes on what's going on and how some of these people who are going against this impeachment probably should be thrown in jail themselves, because we know exactly what they're saying. Take a look at this.
So overnight, the House calling on Vice President Mike Pence to strip President Trump of his power. But the vice president had already informed the House that he would not invoke the 25th Amendment. Let's get to Eamon Javers. He's got the latest from Washington. Eamon, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Becky. You mentioned the political landscape, and it is shifting quickly, starting with that announcement by Liz Cheney last night that she will vote to impeach. She is a member of the House Republican leadership. She's widely respected, and of course, she's the daughter of the former Vice President Dick Cheney. Here's the statement that she put out last night, which really changed the debate in the House of Representatives. She said, "There has never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution. I will vote to impeach the president." That came within a short time of a New York Times report that changed the debate in the Senate. They're reporting that Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, is pleased that Democrats are moving to impeach President Trump, believing that it will make it easier to purge Trump from the party. So that is a game changer in the Senate after Liz Cheney's game changer in the House. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, Mike Pence, the vice president, rejecting that call from the House last night. The House passed a resolution requesting Pence to move forward with the 25th Amendment and remove Trump from office today. Pence says he's not going to do that. Here's his letter to the Speaker of the House. He says, "Under our Constitution, the 25th Amendment is not a means of punishment or usurpation. Invoking the 25th Amendment in such a manner would set a terrible precedent." So that all sets the stage for today. We expect that they'll begin at about 9 a.m. in the House. Vote on impeachment.
Well,
the article on incitement of insurrection by late afternoon today. We expect that will pass, and the president today will become the first person in U.S. history to be impeached twice. Becky, back over to you.
Eamon, the real serious question is what happens in the Senate. To this point, Mitch McConnell has said that he couldn't call Senate back early, that he would have to wait until the 19th, which is the day before the inauguration next week. The Senate has to hold that trial where the president would be allowed to defend himself. This gets a little complicated. Are they changing the idea of that now? I thought it was all 100 senators would have to sign off to come back early.
Yeah, well, that is the case. And McConnell did say that. And so there's the prospect of an impeachment after Biden is sworn in. And the goal of that kind of an impeachment of Trump would be to simply prevent him from being able to run for office again. They can do that if they vote to convict and remove and vote to block him from future federal office. So that's one scenario. Another scenario floated by Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is that he and McConnell could get together and, using rare emergency powers in the Senate, could move together an impeachment to the floor of the Senate before the inauguration. Clear that McConnell is there yet, would sign on to such a thing. It's not clear the depth of support inside the Republican conference in the Senate for conviction and removal of the President of the United States before the end of his term in just a couple of days now. So we're going to have to watch this. But this is a moving target. The politics are very fluid. And I think with McConnell coming out last night and signaling that he's for impeachment, that changes the game in the Senate.
Okay. Yeah. Bunch of hogwash. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break this down for you. And I'm going to break this down for you by starting with dumbass people that think they know politics. Me and Larry and T-Streams get up here almost a whole year telling you that people talk all this talk about politics and don't know nothing. And I'm about to show you, this is a comment taken from this very video I just showed you guys. Look at this. They move swiftly on impeachment, but move like turtles on stimulus. And like, Larry, I can't make this stuff up. And then it's got 34 likes. Okay. Me and Larry have tried to explain to you guys the hold up for the last 9 months on stimulus has been who, Larry?
Mitch McConnell.
Who's about to be the hold up on impeachment, Larry?
Mitch McConnell. Okay,
let me go back to this thing. Then we get down here. Impeachment in 2 days. Stimulus takes 8 to 9 months. Something all should think. Okay, first, you can't even get your grammar right. The government no longer works for the people, only work to rob the people of its money. And that's got 39 likes. But thankfully, there's somebody down there that says something decent. But Larry, again, another dumbass comment. Okay. I can't make this stuff up.
Man.
So the Democrats had a second stimulus package ready to go in May. And in this impeachment, the Democrats got this impeachment done in 2 days, ready to go. And who's holding up everything, Larry?
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch effing McConnell. And you people think you know something. You know shit. And the 34 dickheads who like those comments, y'all are part of the problem too. Because if you don't understand, I hate it when people they really like Republicans, but to try not to get into a debate with you, they'll say, I just hate everybody in the government. No, fuck you. Everybody in the government ain't bad. Now, I do agree all of them lie. I do agree all of them don't have our best interests at times. But for the most part, the party who's working for the middle class, minorities, and those who have been oppressed has been Democrats. And there's just no 2-3 ways about it. Somebody had the audacity to click on one of my videos and say, well, name something the Democrats have done to help the country. You can't make this stuff up. Literally, you cannot make this stuff up.
Stimulus package.
Affirmative action. Equality for women's rights. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You can't make this stuff up. So T-Streams, given everything we've seen today, and they did vote to impeach Trump.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell is taking his no-neck ass home and is about to be on vacation. Do you think that after Joe Biden is inaugurated, do you think we can get Trump convicted? I hope so.
I think, I think they will. I almost threw something in my TV while I was watching him. I was watching him speak today. When I was just sitting there and I'm listening to this stuff, and I'm like, man, you really got to be kidding me. And I really have to guard myself sometime on social media from looking at certain posts and stuff, because right. People can be some real assholes throughout social media because they know you can't touch them. You're so far away, and there's nothing but finger chopping. And and I really can't say, or let me put it this way, it really hurts me to say that it's hard to see that people's judgment and cognitive functioning is that cloudy, to where they say and do some of the things that they say and do, especially in regards to this. Now, I'm really not just taking shallow sides, you know what I'm saying? Because I've got faults with with both sides, but this right here is like really is it can't get any plainer. It really can't get any plainer. And watching this stuff today, man, was really, I don't know. It really it had me pissed off. Now, the one thing that really pisses me off, because they are right now, everybody is crunched and they're fighting against time. Okay. I really understand the concept of not having him run for public office again and blah blah blah. After this, I don't think even if he was able to run, I remember him saying that he had interest to run again in 2024, but I don't think after this that he would even be nowhere close. But then again, I don't know. He got some hitters out there that's keen on seeing him be their, seeing him be their god or whatever. But I do hope there's some closure to this. I wish they would have did it so long ago, because the signs were obviously there. But then again, we dealing with a country right now, folks, they waiting for their stimmy, and that they can't see past that, and it's sad, but I do hope they'll be able to do it. I think they will be able to do it. It's just, the thing then becomes is like, does it really, is it going to be some real benefit? Is it going to be some real benefit behind it? They should have jacked that joker a long time ago, but we right now we just have to sit back and wait and see. But I tell you, if I see Mitch McConnell on my TV again talking crazy, I really feel like, man, dude, I just wanted to take my shoe and just chuck it. That's how bad, that's really how bad I really wanted to say. And then you sitting here looking at the screen, and I'm like, I really wish dude would just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
man, dude, you're really not talking about nothing. Now your article say he went behind closed doors and starting to swing another tune after Dick Cheney's daughter then came out. Oh, my man, you ain't got no balls. It takes somebody else that I guess that's highly respected in your ranks to say something so you can sort of try to get right, man. But the damage is done. But I will say this: if our people, there's not going to be a bigger disappointment to me. I don't know about to nobody else. I can't speak for nobody else, but there's not going to be no bigger disappointment to me than when it's time for these people that's in office now to come back around for election time, because everybody office wasn't up for grabs this go around. But the time is coming real soon where some of these buttholes that has been, funding a lot of this garbage for the last several years, it's time for them to go. It's really time for them to go. It's new talent out there. It's people out there that really want to work to serve the people and stuff. Some of these folks that's been in here with the same old stuff 20, 30, 40, 50 years. We didn't watch them move from young adult to geriatrics right there in the Senate and the House. It's time for some of these people to go. They're stuck in their ways. There's no new agenda. So I'm really tired of seeing it. It gets to the point now that politics really sort of upsets me, and I just,
It's an upsetting thing, Larry. Now I'm gonna give it to you to finish this off, Larry. I want to make a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
How upsetting is it to see that we have people who are in QAnon and in the Proud Boys getting in elected office, number one, because one of these guys from Western North Carolina who just got in, young pump, was caking up for Trump. Upsetting. Number two, the fact that people are still trying to defend Trump, the fact that the House did not pass this impeachment with all 435 congressmen is a disgrace. Because what are you really telling people how you feel? I mean, for real, what are you really telling people? And then those damn punk ass senators who still caking up for Trump, complete disgrace. As much as you want to say we need to put this on the will of the people to get them out of office, they have already shown you that they're not going to vote out Mitch McConnell. So if you're a racist living somewhere where you don't have a good competitor, it's kind of tough to get these people out of office. So knowing all those things, Larry, what do you see happening, and what is it going to take for this country to get shook up, stomp out Trumpism, stomp out these fools, and try to get life going in the direction we want it to go? And we got to get people clean up the police force. We've got so many Trump infiltrators in the police force. It makes it hard to understand and believe who's really doing the work that needs to be done in the police force.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mitch McConnell, when he was the other day, when he was talking about people can vote their conscience, and there was indications that he wanted to see Trump impeached. I think he was probably feeling pressure from all sides, including his home life, since his wife was I believe she was Secretary of Transportation, and she resigned in protest. So he was probably feeling pressure from all sides. And then he took a couple of days to think about it and said, you know what? He's going to be out of office in a few days. I'm not going to worry about it. If the Democrats want to impeach him after they take control of the Senate, then let them do it. But I think he thought about it and he just said, you know what? If Trump is impeached and I allow the trial to go ahead and he's actually convicted, then he's going to probably splinter the Republican Party and by starting his own party and pulling 15-20% of his base over there with him. And now you have a divided conservative a part of the country, and the Democrats will still have their unified 51%. So you'll end up where you don't have any real conservative leadership or any conservative legislators in a sense after they start getting voted out, because you'll end up where the Republicans won't have enough to win. They'll win some certain districts, but when you have a third of the people voting for Trump's new party, a third of the people voting for the Republicans, and then the other third, which is not really a third, is really when you have 25% voting for Trump's new party and 25% voting for the new Republican or the Republicans and 50% voting for the Democrats. You see the Democrats taking huge wins all across the country, including the White House, most likely. So I think Mitch McConnell was just making a calculated decision to say, I'm going to try and appease Trump so that he doesn't split the party. The problem is that Trump is either going to run again and he's going to have to deal with all this again, or Trump is going to end up just being a kingmaker and he's going to decide who's going to run for what offices, and he can start primarying people and choosing who gets to be the leadership of the Republican Party. And I think in large part, Mitch McConnell just doesn't really care anymore. I think honestly, he doesn't care about the country in a lot of ways, and he simply doesn't care anymore. He knows that in a week's time, he's no longer going to be the Senate Majority Leader. He's going to be just another senator. He may be the minority leader, but that's it. And so he knows he's not going to have his position anymore. And he's just won a new term, so he has 6 more years. He's 78 years old. So he knows that in another 6 years, he's going to be 84 years old. He's likely not going to run again. This is likely his last term in the Senate because of his age. If he lives for the next 6 years, he likely won't run again. So I think, honestly, he just doesn't care. He just simply doesn't care. He's just like, if the Democrats want to impeach him, let them impeach him. I'm not going to discourage people from voting against impeachment. Let them vote their conscience, and then he can turn around and blame the Democrats for the impeachment. So when people want to come out there and say, oh, this is all political, this has nothing to do with anything but just horrible politics. They impeached him. He was already out of office. There was no need to impeach him to get rid of him. He was already gone. They can say all that stuff, and Mitch McConnell can just say, yep, that's right. That's right. It's all the Democrats' fault. It's all the Democrats' fault. He can let that be, and he doesn't have to take any responsibility for anything that has gone on in his mind. And but ultimately, I think it just comes down for him. He just doesn't care anymore. I think he just simply doesn't care because he's gone in a week as the majority leader. And so his power is basically going to be what it is for any other senator. His power is going to be like what it is for Chuck Schumer. Not much.
Mm-hmm.
You may get to control what committees people in your party get to sit on, but that's kind of it.
And
you know what? You don't have any control over the rules. You don't have any control over the calendar.
And this is what he deserves. This is what he gets, because this man has had power, Larry, for too. He's been running. He's been the majority leader of the Senate since Obama. His whole goal when he became majority leader under Obama was to be an obstructionist.
Yeah.
And then Trump comes along, gives him everything he wants, was a useful idiot for Mitch McConnell. And now he's basically sort of trying to jump off the ship, but doing it in a weaselly manner, acting as if he can't get them to come back and take a vote on it. That's a punk move, man, in my opinion, when you know this man is dangerous. And if you was having to live the way the rest of America was having to live, you would want something to happen. But fellas, we're going to call it a quits there.
You know what, Lamar, I just want to say one quick thing. I know that I know 703 was saying that, the Republican Party hasn't won a popular vote in 30 years and we need to get rid of the Electoral College. It's not quite. I mean, I know a lot of people want to get rid of the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. I think personally that the Electoral College is another one of those safeguards that was put into place by our founders. It's another sort of safety net against the irrational mob. Because if you look at how things went this last election, we had a very, very narrow election when it comes to the actual vote count. Now, when you look at the Electoral College, it looks like a landslide because it's 308 to whatever it is, 2 something. It looks like a landslide, but it wasn't. We're talking about 1.5% or something like that difference. It wasn't that many people. It wasn't that big of a difference. And if you end up in a situation,
7 million is not a big difference to you.
No, not in a country of 330 million. No.
Well, the problem is only half of the 330 million voted. Less than half.
But here's the thing. If we end up in a situation where you have someone who is
Larry, this is a good one. Take no names down there. He's one of those peons. Name 3 good Democrat ran cities without Google. Here we go with this crap. Lord have mercy.
Before I move back onto my point to finish up, let me just say to no names. How about this? How about we just take 2 Democrat-run states out of the union and see how quickly the union collapses because the vast majority of its economy is gone? How about you just simply take New York and California out of the union, and now all of the southern states, all of them except for Texas, cannot survive, cannot feed themselves, cannot maintain their roads, cannot educate their kids, cannot afford to maintain their colleges, cannot afford to do jack shit. Why? Because all the southern states, except for Texas, take more money from the federal government than it gives. And so, and you have California, which is the 5th largest economy in the world. No, not the 5th largest economy in North America or in the United States. It is the 5th largest economy in the entire world. And if you take you take California out and you take New York out, both of them are Democratic states. Guess what? The United States becomes a second world nation. Not even first world anymore, second world. So, I mean, let's not sit up there and try and act like Republican states are just, and Republican cities are fantastical. I mean, let's just be honest. The Republicans run states and cities full of a bunch of poor white trash losers who are too dumb to vote for their own financial and political interests.
And then they go try to overthrow the government in their frustration that they have been manipulated into believing is because of everybody else except Donald Trump. There you go. So, fellas,
I don't even remember my other point now.
I know. We'll call it a night on that. We'll be back Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, mask up, get the shot when you can. And until the next Sex is Hell video, we will see you.
Peace.
Peace.